Yes, guys, welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix Game Week 20 live stream. Oh my days, look how many people are in the chat right now. This one is going to be absolutely hectic because we have, I'm going to say, about 55 minutes until the deadline. So, guys, let me know if you are in the chat right now. And as always, we try to hit 50 likes every live stream. So if you can do us a favor and drop a like on this live stream just to get things going, that would be massively appreciated as always. Just drop us in the chat, guys. Let me know if you can hear me all okay. It'd be awesome just to know that everything is working fine. As I can see, we already have about 60 of us in the chat. So it'd be great to get things going. Cheeks, hope we're doing well. Right, guys, first and foremost, game week deadline in about 55 minutes. I have already locked in my team, which is an absolute miracle because usually I take forever to get my team locked in. So I'm delighted to inform you guys I will have an official team reveal. This video, we're going to be covering Haaland triple captaincy, which one to go for. We're going to be discussing my team reveal. And of course, we are going to be answering any of your personal questions. I can see a lot of you in the chat already, which is fantastic. Right, let's just get through a few of the top questions right now, and then we will come into each section on the stream. Cheekster, as always, thank you for being involved. Recycle shoes. That's very on theme with Global. It was fantastic. Kepa, Trippier, Cucurella, Cancelo, Almiron, Salah. Ben Chalmers should have got Shaw sooner. Yes, Martial, -4 for Martial, I'm not a big fan of because of his current injury news right now, sounding like he could be out for the game. Rio, hi Nacho, is it worth a -4 to replace Cucurella or Havertz by Ake or Tony? If you can get Tony in, I think it's a fantastic move for your team. However, Cucurella to Ake just seems sensible. Main reason being he has a double game week and I anticipate him to play in both of those. So while Tony is incredibly appealing, that double game week of Ake just feels like it's the sensible move. Tony probably the highest ceiling pick, of course, there. Robbie, opinion in Tony compared to Martial for long term. Tony over the next 3 or 4 is absolutely head and shoulders above Martial in my eyes. The only reason I would favour Martial is if a double game week 22 gets announced. That's the only way I would consider that. Ben Mee or Lewis, I absolutely would go for Ben Mee of the two there. Flying completely under the radar Brentford's fixtures from a defensive perspective, and I think Ben Mee is a fantastic pick. Paige here from TikTok, great to see you, Paige. Should I play Rare or Pope? Now, I just need to refresh my memory a little bit in regards to the fixtures. I know Brentford have a fantastic fixture, and I also know, of course, that Newcastle have a brilliant game. I think you're going to need yourself that Newcastle coverage, so I would go for Pope of the two there. Perisic or Cancelo? I think you've got to go Perisic right now, mainly because Cancelo's minutes are so hard to predict as we speak. Right, guys, while I'm rinsing through the comments here, of course, we have plenty to get through. I am going to get my team reveal up on screen because, guys, I've had a bit of a brain fart, as some may say, and I've decided to sell Cancelo and bring in somebody who I never would dream of bringing in. And you're going to see exactly who it is. That man is going to be Doherty. I cannot believe my eyes, guys, that I've decided to bring in Doherty. Get in the chat. Let me know, why have I brought in Doherty? It is ridiculous for me to be tempted to bring in Doherty in the current status of my game right now. But look, I'm currently ranked 370k in the world right now. The sensible move, of course, would have been to bring in Ake, Akanji, for example. That is absolutely a sensible move that I think a lot of managers should go for. But for my rank right now, I felt like Doherty was the sensible move from a chase perspective. And another reason why I went for Doherty, and I just need to kind of explain myself because you're probably sat on the live stream right now thinking this guy's absolutely mental. And part of that could be true, but this is what I thought. Man City right now defensively are not correct. Something's going on right now where just out of possession, they're struggling, etc., etc. And against a team like Man United and Spurs, the one thing you need to be is on it 24/7 because naturally, with their counter-attacks, I just think they're going to be in trouble if they are not on it on the day. Now, defensively, Man City, I could not sit here and tell you exactly which player to go for. I think all of them are at risk of rotation. So, apologies, I've just absolutely took myself off the screen there. So, because of that reason, I think gaining a bit of information in this double game week actually secretly could be quite a wise move to make. Doing that move for me personally means I'm freeing up an additional Man City spot. Going into game week 21, then I could do a sideways move from one of my goalkeepers to Ederson, because we all know Ederson is the wise Man City pick if you just want to get guaranteed game time and clean sheets. So with this double, I almost want to use it as an opportunity just to gauge whether Man City are in a little bit of a downturn, or they've just had a bit of a bad patch and they're back to their usual selves. So because of that reason, I think just going for a little bit of punt and Doherty really isn't going to be any skin off my back. I fancy them to score against in both fixtures, actually. So because of that reasoning, I've gone mad with Doherty. The other moves I have done, Salah to Kevin De Bruyne. I hate the move. I hate it. But I think with Kevin De Bruyne confirmed double in 20 and 23, I think it pays itself over the next 4 game weeks. The only caveat worth noting, Liverpool could have a double in game week 21 or 22 off the top of my mind. That could change things, but who's to say we can't just hokey-cokey between the two? That's absolutely an option. And you can see there, with the news of Darwin Núñez being a massive injury risk, I've decided to sell Darwin Núñez and bring in Harry Kane just to get myself that Spurs attacking coverage, as I know his ownership is going to be pretty big this game week. Right, let's get into some of the questions, guys. You can just obviously insult my team. Almiron or Shaw or Grealish? In the way I would order that right now, very difficult because one's a defender, one is a midfielder. The way I'd rank that right now is Shaw would be the priority in your team. Then I'd actually have Almiron and then Grealish last. I just can't sit here and tell you Grealish is guaranteed game time. Mahrez or Foden in for Trossard, got 2 million in the bank. I would go for, of those, Mahrez. Mahrez would be the answer there. Tony may be banned, so don't use it. Paige, great shout in regards to Tony. There is, of course, still a court case going on there. And there is obviously a chance that there could be rotation with Tony if he does get banned. But for me, I still think he is a fantastic move until that situation arises. Who's triple captain in here? I can see a lot of people going in there. 5.4 million or less defender. We're going to come on to defenders in a minute, as we've got a fantastic slide that I really think is going to help you guys out. But I just wanted to put my team on screen here. And it's worth noting as well, I do apologise, I've messed Finn's screen up here and I haven't put on the triple captaincy screen. Haaland has been activated as my triple captain. For those that are wondering right now, I've decided to triple captain Haaland. I'm 99% sure I'm going to do it. Yes, I do think there are other game weeks that are possible for a fantastic triple captaincy option. But I just feel like going for this route is just a bit more exciting for my team. Having the triple captaincy, reasons being right now, we know that Haaland is going to play 180 minutes unless injury arises. Kevin De Bruyne is fit, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. So while we know that he is available, that enhances Haaland as an FPL option. Thirdly, Man City right now against Man United and Spurs. Spurs in particular, even though I've brought in Doherty, I don't think defensively are incredible. And I do think there's going to be a potential there for a high-scoring game. That reason being, I think Haaland is a fantastic pick. Now, I'm going to bring up a screen here just for a Haaland captaincy discussion. I will come back to my team selection. And again, a massive shout out to Finn for doing these graphics. Unbelievable job and such a quick turnaround. I do apologise, Finn, if you are on the chat here. So, look, Haaland triple captain or not, I think the big deliberation right now is, are the fixtures too tough? Yes, they are playing against Man United, whose defence has been one of the best so far this season since Ten Hag has got the formation and the team that he's wanted to roll out. But I want to just put up here some underlying stats for Haaland against the Big Six. Now, the Big Six that I'm classing right now is the ones that he's played so far. And of course, I have put Chelsea in the Big Six because I am a Chelsea fan. Love it or hate it, they are in. So, the stats that you can see on the screen there, that is Haaland versus the Big Six, are games against Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea. Yes, it is only a 4-game kind of sample size, but look, that's only sample size we can take with Haaland being in the Premier League so far this season. So it is what it is, unfortunately. So the left column is Haaland's underlying stats over the course of the season. The right column is Haaland's stats against what I'm calling the Big Six, which is Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United and Liverpool. Now you can see there, expected goals 0.98 per 90 in those 4 fixtures is fantastic reading. Now, of course, yes, he had a bit of an anomaly against Man United where they run riot against them, and I'm not expecting that sort of game again against Man United, but still, posted some fantastic expected goals against Chelsea, 0.71, 0.47 against Liverpool. Of course, that's the game we all thought that he kind of got shut out. He still had chances. And against Newcastle, he posted an XG of 1.09. Again, against defences that we're classing as some of the best in the league. And the big thing about Haaland as well, what I love, is he offers expected assists. Assist potential is there. 0.39. Posted a 1.12 against Man United, 0.35 against Newcastle. So, look, they are absolutely fantastic underlying stats here. And the big chances as well, 1.75 compared to a season total of 1.92. I understand the fixtures are tough, but I think Haaland still operates at a fantastic level against these teams that are duped good defenses. So I think these are absolutely worth our consideration. And I wouldn't be put off by the fixtures that are presented in front of Man City and Haaland this game week. Now you can see there the double game week predicted points. Of course, the other argument for a lot of managers is to go for game week 23, double game week for Man City, which of course they have Aston Villa at home and Arsenal away. Again, tricky fixture away against Arsenal, but one would argue the Aston Villa game on its own is enough of a reason for you to triple captain him in that game week. You can see on our predicted points here, game week 20 is slightly ahead of game week 23, but look, 0.1 point in it, there's absolutely nothing in it. So that's the main reason why I think game week 20 is just as good as game week 23. We're kind of living in the moment right now. We know De Bruyne's available. We know Haaland's fully fit. Game week 23 could roll in. Pep might want to give Haaland a bit of game time to Alvarez, rest Haaland a little bit, get him safe for that really tricky away game against Arsenal. All these things we don't know right now, and I'm kind of trying to play the game what's in front of me. And right now, that is a fully fit Haaland with a fully fit Kevin De Bruyne against Man United and Spurs. And I think I'm just going to pull the trigger on that. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, guys. But I'm really interested to know what direction you are going in with the triple captain. But I think locking it in on the triple captain on Haaland is the right move for my team personally. I'm just going to sort this audio out a minute. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Think we are good there. So guys, yeah, get your questions in. I'm really interested to know what deliberations everyone has. Luke saying, will Wan-Bissaka start? Yes, it sounds like Wan-Bissaka will start with the current injury status on Dalot. Scottish Baguette captain Casemiro. That is a brave call, but Casemiro is popping off in a few of our algorithms, which is really interesting to see. Sell Kepa for Pope. No, I wouldn't do that. I think that is a fantastic pick for him with this game week. Start Martial or Mount. I would start Mount. I would start Mount because of the injury status right now, which is going on with Martial. Guys, can you hear me okay? Just put a yes or a no in here. I do apologise. I was just trying to sort my audio out. I don't know why it was flickering on the Shaw mic. If you could just let me know if you can hear me okay. If you just put a yes or no, that'd be fantastic. All is fine. Thank you, Chisa, for that. Thank you for the confirmation. Right. Okay, let's get some more questions answered. But again, guys, let me know in the chat. What is your current deliberation? Are you going for Haaland as triple captain? How are you going for another person as triple captain this game week? Or are you looking to hold it for later, further down the line where other double game weeks may arise, double game week 23 or in the future? Again, very difficult to plan out your chip usage later down the line because, of course, a double game week may arise where you'll be very, very much tempted to play that triple captain. But it might be a fantastic week for you to play your free hit chip as well. So because of that reason, you need to question whether you just play the game week which is in front of you right now. But I'll be really interested to know everyone's thought process right now on the triple captain chip. I've decided just to lock it in and accept what will be this game week. I really do think the triple captaincy chip is one of the weakest chips in the game. I don't think it make or breaks your season. I think it's one of those where if you really hit it off, you can have a phenomenal game week like Kevin De Bruyne versus Wolves last season or Salah with Leeds in Norwich in a double. That is the opportunities. I don't feel like there's one being presented to us right now as we speak. Yes, John Stones is out, but I wouldn't say he is definitely confirmed out for the whole double, just the single fixture in the Manchester derby. He could be available for the second game in the double. So just be cautious of that if you are selling him. For a points hit, I think that could be a worry there. Now, talking about defenders and Cancelo replacements, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for me to put up the the screen that Finn produced here, a brilliant graphic which looks at some of the alternatives to Cancelo. So let me get that up for you a minute here. Okay, guys, so we've decided to filter it down to 3 picks here, but I do think that someone like a Kanji can also be considered alongside Ake as a player of choice. Now, with the price point of Ake being currently 5 million and a Kanji currently being priced at, let me just get my stats correct, 5 million as well. Basically, when we're looking at the screen here, basically just view a Kanji and Ake as the same sort of player. Now, I'm just going to get the stats in front of me a minute, just so I can, if there are any clear differentiation between a Kake and I'm trying to combine them, Ake and a Kanji, then I can just read them out for you. So just kind of like check out the screen here for you. But just to give you a bit of an idea on how Ake and a Kanji both compare against one another. Expected FPL points for a Kanji is 4.62, so very, very similar to Ake. In terms of expected assists, again, we're not really looking at that, but 0.01 for a Kanji, basically identical to what is being posted by Ake. And in regards to the bonus point department, a Kanji is basically averaging 0.19 per 90, which is about half of what Ake is producing. So realistically, of the two, I think Ake is probably the route you want to go for. When he is being deployed as a left back, naturally being a bit more of a creative force, even if he isn't having the license to go forward, he is operating in certain areas which could require key passes. So because of that, I think Ake's ceiling is probably a little bit higher. And we know from historical, he can be a bit of a goal threat as well, which is worth noting. A Kanji's XG is 0.04, whereas Ake's is, let's get that up for you a minute, for Ake. Ake's is 0.02, so both very, very low this season, is worth noting. But Ake historically has been a goal threat from set pieces. Now, you're probably wondering, why the hell did I go for Doherty of the 3? I explained my reasoning in regards to Man City. I think a clean sheet isn't necessarily guaranteed this double, and I want to get a bit of game time to understand which Man City option to go for, because I'm likely going to fall on Ederson in goal. And while I'm still deliberating that, I didn't want to block myself by going for a Man City defender in a week that I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet, and a defender that I don't think offers any attacking potential. So Ake and Akanji, I would put that under the category of not really offering much from an attacking perspective. Doherty, on the other hand, you can see it on your screen here. Expected assists is pretty poor, I have to say. 0.04 is basically the same level as Botman and Ake. So I'm kind of sat here saying that Doherty offers more goal threat, but realistically, from those sort of stats, we're not seeing it. Now, an XG of 0.1, again, isn't phenomenal for someone like Doherty, but I would argue that from an eye test perspective, he does get into some fantastic positions, which the likes of Ake and Botman simply aren't going to get into. Outfield potential is very much in Doherty's favour. Botman, Ake, Akanji is very much going to be all about set-piece potential. And if you're choosing between the set-piece potential, then I think Botman is definitely one to consider as well. Currently averaging, again, 0.04 XG, very much similar along the lines of Ake and Akanji. But from a clean sheet perspective this week, I would argue that Newcastle just have as much potential for a clean sheet as Man City this game week. So Botman looking like a fantastic pick, but very much similar along the lines of Ake and Akanji, very much all about the clean sheets and potential bonus point accumulation. Doherty, on the other hand, while clean sheets might not be coming forward over the coming game weeks, I think the attacking potential is the thing that's tempting me, and the ownership only being 0.9%, about 1%, it really is an opportunity for, if you want to have a big rank increase, I feel like Doherty is the one to go for if you want to go down that route. But I'll be really interested to know your thoughts, guys, in the chat here. As Sohail saying, best replacement for Cancelo. And again, I think we come back to the usuals. I think Luke Shaw is a fantastic pick. And obviously somebody like Trippier are your guaranteed no-brainers. If you're going for Man City, I think Ake and Akanji are natural picks. I probably would just favour Akanji looking at the recent minutes. He's played pretty much every game for Man City and kind of gone under the radar a little bit. So I would think Akanji is actually quite a tempting pick. But again, Ake, Akanji, very, very similar players from an underlying stats perspective. Doherty is kind of the real differential punt. And Botman is a fantastic pick into your team if you want to go for that Newcastle double up. The one thing I would say about Newcastle double up is we know there is a potential blank game week in game week 25. So if you are sat there with triple Newcastle, you could get yourself into a bit of a sticky situation later down the line. But again, this is all assumptions right now. We don't have any clarification whether they do have a blank game week or not. And again, someone saying about Ake or Rico Lewis. I actually would rather pay a little bit more and go for Ake. I think with Walker playing at right back, I think there's just risk that Rico Lewis won't play both fixtures. And naturally, if we are going for the Man City defence, you want to get coverage of both defenders there. I'm sorry, of both fixtures. Is Ben Mee a good option? Ben Mee is a fantastic option and one that probably should be on the list of considerations. Now, in regards to Ben Mee as an attacking asset from set pieces, just to give a comparison here, Ben Mee's XG per 90 is 0.08 and XA is 0.02. So we're not looking at somebody who is naturally absolutely dominant, but still a centre-back is always going to be a threat from set pieces. And he only scored recently. So, of course, confirmation bias from recent game weeks is in our heads. With the fixtures coming up for Ben Mee, we know that they have some fantastic game weeks coming up. In particular this week at home against, I believe, Bournemouth. Is that correct? Bournemouth at home to kick things off, followed by, let me just get this up for myself, Leeds away, Southampton at home, and then in game week 24 at home against Crystal Palace. So look, if you want to go for a defender and you're looking for a bit of a differential, I think Brentford are a great pick. And I would argue maybe Rico Henry of Brentford is the real route to go for. Rico Henry currently, looking at his underlying stats, offering pretty poor XG and XA, but I know he does get into some appealing positions on the pitch in comparison to Ben Mee. Is it worth doing a -8 for Cancelo to Shaw and Solanke to Tony? Yes, I think that's a fantastic move. Solanke has a bit of a tricky fixture coming up this game week. And kind of gone a little bit off the boil. Tony has a fantastic 3 fixtures coming up. And Cancelo, I love the transfer of Luke Shaw. I think he's one of the best alternatives to Cancelo if you don't have him already. George, yes, I currently do have the triple captaincy on Haaland and I'm not planning on taking it off. I think I'm pretty much confirmed to be locked in with that decision there. I just think it's the right move and time for me to do it this week. And again, guys, just to reiterate, the game week 20 deadline is in 35 minutes. So you've got plenty of time still to kind of get through some questions and ask anything that you need to ask. But of course, just be conscious, the site, we have had history of the site crashing. I do think it's going to be quite a popular week this week for a lot of people having some last minute decisions on their teams. So make sure you do get your teams locked in nice and early before that deadline at 6:30 p.m. UK time. But just to reiterate, I have decided to hit that triple captaincy on Haaland, and I think I'm almost locked in on that decision there, as I just think it is the right thing for my team going forward. We know what's in front of us right now. Why Doherty over Perisic? Jameson, great point there in regards to that, and I think that's something worth considering. So Perisic versus Doherty right now. So we haven't got that on the screen in regards to Perisic, just because I was considering price points. But just to give you an example of how Perisic compares to Doherty. So based on expected goals, Perisic is averaging 0.11 per 90, which is pretty much identical to what Doherty is offering. But Perisic in the expected assist department is where he dominates Doherty, 0.27 compared to Doherty's 0.04. And that is to be expected with Perisic being on plenty of set pieces, on corners, on free kicks, for example. So naturally, Perisic is going to be higher in that department. And the expected FPL points at 5.55 is considerably better than Doherty's at 4.83. So of course, if money was no object, I would pick Perisic of the two. But Perisic is 0.9 million more than Doherty. And looking at those underlying stats, yes, I do think Perisic could absolutely pop up with an assist from a set piece, for example. I don't think it's worthwhile the 0.9. I think Doherty gets into some exciting goal scoring opportunities, in particular over the recent game weeks. We saw that against Crystal Palace. And I think at a 0.9 million saving, you can just invest that elsewhere into your squad to improve it. And because of that, I think Doherty is the value pick. Perisic is the correct pick if money is no object, in my eyes. Again, Oliver, please, can you not duplicate the question there? Mainly just because it is absolutely congesting the chat. Is Matoma good? Max is asking. I think Matoma is a fantastic pick later down the line. I don't think it's necessary for this week because they have a tricky fixture against Liverpool. But if we were to get confirmation of a Brighton double, then I think Matoma is absolutely the route to go for. Finding Doherty or Botman versus difficult. Yes, so Doherty versus Botman is one of the decisions that I had currently before I made my move to go for Doherty. Main reason I went for Doherty, at my rank at 370,000, I wanted to go for a little bit of a differential, and I felt Doherty offered that. Botman, I think for clean sheet potential is absolutely there, but I felt like with my team, and I'll show you my team on screen in a minute just so you can see it. I basically felt like having Mitrovic from a psychological perspective just made me think, oh, do I want to have double Newcastle defence against Mitrovic? Because naturally I had to start Mitrovic in my team. So from a bias perspective, I felt like going Doherty just from a psychological gave me that additional fixture, which gave me the potential to have maybe an attack and return later down the line. So because of that, I decided to go for Doherty. But from your perspective, I don't know whether you have Mitrovic in your team. And I do think Botman plus Trippier over the coming game weeks is a fantastic combination. And it's been proven by the underlying stats of Newcastle so far this season. Salah, Rashford or Kane as captain. The way I'd rank those right now, I would have probably Rashford number 1, Kane number 2 and Salah number 3. Salah mainly because he only has a single game week. Yes, I am triple captain in Haaland, and that is all but confirmed unless in the last few minutes I decided to make any sort of last minute change. Martinelli, Odegaard to start. Of those two, I would probably start Odegaard in the form that he's in right now. I think both are fantastic options, but Odegaard is operating at a fantastic level right now. Salah and Mitrovic to Kane and Gakpo / Matoma, or KDB and Mitro to Kane and Mahrez. Well, right now, I could not sit here and recommend you to sell Kevin De Bruyne at all, so I could not sit here and tell you to do that. If you were going for an option, Salah and Mitrovic to Kane and Gakpo, I would say to you, could you even do Kane and Mahrez? I don't know about Gakpo right now, personally. I want to see a bit more game time to understand what kind of level he is at. Who should I triple captain? I've covered that one there. Paige, I had Doherty, but now this chart is making me consider changing him to Ake. Yeah, Paige, let me get that back up a minute so we have that on the screen. But I think Ake is just a sensible pick alongside of Kanji into that Man City defence. I don't really want to be going brave with the likes of Rico Lewis if you are deciding to go down that route. So I think that's a sensible move. But as I mentioned, personally, I just think not all is well at Man City right now from a defensive perspective. So I'm not anticipating necessarily clean sheets from both of them. And because of that, I'm starting to think, is it worthwhile investing in the Man City defence? TB saying -4 for Tony, Akanji and Kane. I don't know who you're selling, but on paper, that seems like a brilliant 3 to bring into your team. Salah, Rashford or Kane, I've covered that one off. De Gea or Pope for this game week? I think it has to be De Gea because of his double game week. Mitchell or Mings with a Newcastle defender double up. I would go for... well, I think you've got to start... Very difficult because Mings has got this week. Sorry, I haven't really considered Aston Villa assets. Leeds at home. I think Leeds are good for a goal. I think you'll really kick yourself if you have Mitrovic. It's very difficult. I probably would still have Mitrovic just because there is going to be a clean sheet wipeout. It is going to naturally be Mitrovic 100%. And again, guys, if you haven't already, please do consider dropping a like on the live stream. We always try and hit 50 likes. There's been over 100 of you throughout this live stream. If you can, drop a like if you haven't already. It is free to do. Massively would appreciate you guys doing it. Just to confirm my transfers, I've decided to sell Cancelo to bring in Doherty. Yes, I have lost my mind. We will see in a week's time whether it was the right move or not. I've decided to sell Mo Salah for Kevin De Bruyne to capitalise on that double game week, the Wolves fixture in game week 21 and the double in 23. And I've decided to sell Darwin Núñez because of his injury status to bring in Harry Kane, as I know his ownership is going to be massive. I can see we've already jumped up to 42 likes. We drop a few more likes, guys. That'll be massively appreciated, as always. And one slide that I haven't put on the screen for you guys to check out is the predicted points, something that I know helps a lot of you guys out when you're considering your transfers. So let me get that screen up for you here. And again, a massive shout out to Finn for producing this so quickly, as I know it was quite a quick turnaround on this here. So again, a lot of information on screen here to kind of rattle through. So I'm just going to leave it on screen for you guys to kind of digest and see if there's any players that are quite stand out. Quite surprisingly, the Crystal Palace defenders popping off. I'm very, very surprised at that. But again, the fix algorithm, I never doubt it. And I would not be surprised if they do pick up a few decent points along the way. Ederson naturally being the number one goalkeeper to go for, but I think De Gea is not getting spoken about enough, and one that I think should be considered for a lot of managers. Kevin De Bruyne as well, naturally top of the tree for midfielders with his brilliant double game week. Well, I say brilliant. I think a Man City double is still one that we need to capitalise on. And then, of course, in the forward department, Haaland leading the way at 12.9. I think we're set back on the audio there. Right, Penguin, De Bruyne for Salah and either Mahrez for Andreas or Odegaard for Andreas. Look, if I was bringing in one right now, I think you've got to go for Mahrez for that double game week. Odegaard longer term is much better, but I think going for Mahrez is the exciting pick, really. Botman for Walker, very, very difficult to be selling a Man City defender, something that I decided doing in regards to Cancelo. And I really don't know what the status would be in terms of Walker's game time. Yes, it's a hard sell. I think if you were looking to sell with a points hit, I would be a little bit dubious. If I was selling as a free transfer, then I do like it. I just personally think Walker will start with the pace that both teams offer as their main threats. TB saying Ake is leaked to be starting. I don't know about that one personally, so I'm not going to kind of spread that in case that isn't true. But for me, I wouldn't be surprised if Ake starts. I would be surprised if he's benched more than anything. Toddy saying Saka is a doubt now. Should I still start him? Yes, I would still start Saka. I'll be surprised if he doesn't play. Martial or -4 for Kane. Look, if you can get Kane into your team, I think you just do it personally. I think that's the right move for your teams. Max, under 6 million mid, not Almiron. If we're looking for a midfielder under 6 million, then I'm going to have to go to the points projection on Fantasy Football Fix here just to get some names, because off the top of my head, I couldn't name you one under that price point. So for Game Week 20 in isolation, for a midfielder under 6 million, then surprisingly, Rodri and Casemiro come out on top. Now, if you want to go for the exciting picks, then I think we go for a Crystal Palace. And I think you want to go for the likes of Eze or Olise. But long-term, the fixtures are really not good for them. Gakpo for Almiron, Rashford or Martinelli. I wouldn't be looking to sell buy Gakpo for any of those players that you mentioned there. Want to get Kane and De Bruyne in, but struggling with funds to replace Cancelo. With Jason, I ended up selling Cancelo to bring in Doherty, and then I had the funds to then bring in Kane and De Bruyne for Salah and Darwin Núñez. Mahrez in for Mount for a -8. That's very difficult to justify there, but I do think Mahrez starts both games, and because of that, I think the -4 will pay off. But Mount against Crystal Palace could do well. He does well at home in these sorts of fixtures, so I like the move, but just be cautious that Mount is one of those players I would flag as a potential to do well this week, even though Chelsea are absolutely woeful. I think probably I could justify that move, yes. Page, play Trippier and Short defo. Yeah, 100%. That isn't even a question in regards to starting those both there. I've played a bench with a strong bench and can save my triple captain tip. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I'm not knocking that at all. I think if you've got a strong bench and you want to play it, absolutely. The reasons why I'm against bench boosting this week, and I'll just give you guys a little bit of a heads up and sort of a strategy that I've been doing over the years. We're likely to get a large double game week later on in the season. Let's say something like week 34. Now, a strategy that a lot of managers do is this. You end up bench boosting in that double game week, which is really big. But in order to fully capitalize on the double game week in your bench boost, you wildcard 1 or 2 weeks before. In order to wildcard that 2 weeks before, it means that you can basically buy 15 players that are guaranteed to double in that big double game week. Then when you use your bench boost, you've got 15 players doubling. So effectively 30 matches where the expected minutes and the ceiling for all of these players and your points potential goes through the roof. If you use a bench boost with all your bench only having single game weekers, naturally you kind of dampen the potential of the returns. So that's a strategy that a lot of managers do, and it's worth you guys noting that as well as a potential strategy if you want to do it. What are Shaw's projected points for game week 20. Yeah, really good point here. Let me get that up. Shaw's projected points for game week 20 are 5. Now, we have to remember, naturally, we're not anticipating clean sheets for Shaw in the Manchester derby. So that is going to be a bit of a tricky one for us to be projecting. We got 2 projected points against Man City, but 3 against Crystal Palace. And I would argue with Crystal Palace, there's always a potential for a clean sheet there. But obviously, Palace with some tricky players like Zaha, it isn't a walk in the park for Man United, that's for sure. Bit of a pun there as well with Luke Shaw. Is Captain Rashford a good shout? Leon, absolutely. I can't knock anybody going for Rashford. You can see in the projected points, he is projected to score 7.5 points. So don't knock anybody going down that route. For me, personally, I got burnt not going for Haaland captaincy when he destroyed Man United in the reverse fixture. And I almost have PTSD from that situation. So because of that, I've got to go Haaland, just stick by him. His underlying stats are still the best of any player, basically, over a sustained period. Amy saying Cancelo, Cucurella or Mitrovic. Difficult one for me to answer here because I don't really know the context of the question. But if I was trying to start one, I think you naturally probably have to just... If you're not selling him, then probably start Cancelo. You can't bench him. I've kind of lost where I was in the chat. Here we go. Leon, do you think Captain... I've covered that one. SA, bench one of these 8. Bench one of these 8. I think if you're benching one of this 8 that you have mentioned on the screen here, then I think it has to be Martinelli. Sorry, it has to be Mitrovic of them, which is quite controversial, but I think it has to be Mitrovic. How about Salah to Mahrez? No, I like it, but not to Mahrez because I'm questioning his game time. That's the only problem. But I love it as a differential if you're willing to go down that route. A few people saying, will Stones start? We know that Stones is ruled out for the Manchester derby. It doesn't mean that he's ruled out for the second half of the double game week. So just be cautious of that. He could still be available. Is Martial a risk? Yes, he hasn't trained all week, so he is a game time risk for this week. Marcus, Nacho, what do you think of Rodrigo? Thinking about Kane, KDB and Rodrigo in for Salah, Foden and Mitrovic. Yeah, really like Rodrigo. Underlying stats have been really strong. I think his game time would be good in the upcoming Leeds fixtures, and the fixtures are fantastic. So not knocking anybody for going Rodrigo at all. Naturally, I'll be more inclined to go for the likes of Mahrez as a bit of a double game week punt, as I'm more attracted by the expected minutes and the 180 minute potential that these double game weekers have. But Rodrigo, a brilliant differential. Finley saying, what's my current rank? I'm currently 375,000th in the world right now. I just want to check out if there's any sort of potential news coming out here, but I don't think there's anything, guys, so I don't think we're sweating too much about it as we speak. Yeah, no, I don't see anything naturally going crazy. So we have 20 minutes till the deadline, guys, so make sure you are getting your teams locked in, getting a bit of an understanding what direction you want to go in. Of course, I will try and answer your questions between now and the deadline, but of course, if we can, just get them teams as close to confirmed as we can before the deadline. Charlie saying, 1 free transfer left. Hold Darwin or shift for Tony. I will be doing Darwin to Tony personally. I think that's a fantastic move for your team. Mitro, Cancelo to Rico Lewis and Kane. I like the move. The one thing I would say to you is this. I think Rico Lewis's minutes are going to be pretty similar to Cancelo's. I'll be surprised if Rico Lewis plays 180 minutes over that period. And because of that, I have to question that transfer of Rico Lewis. Victor, I'd like to get Gakpo in. Of who should I sell? Elmore, Rashford and Martinelli, I can't advise you selling any of those players. I think Rashford, you can't sell, one of the best players in the game right now. Almiron at home to Fulham, I think you're asking for trouble. And Martinelli away against a Spurs team who defensively aren't looking that promising. I think you're asking for trouble selling any of those 3. Sanchez is saying -8 for Salah to KDB, Darwin to Kane, Kepa to Edison, or just -4 for KDB and Kane. I don't think you're desperate to do the Edison move for a -4 because you kind of take away the potential of that double game week. So I think that transfer could wait till the following week if you really don't want to make it. I think the original KDB and Kane move is enough. Yes, I do like Cancelo to Shaw for a -4. You're just getting rid of the headache of Cancelo. Will Haaland not have a better double game week though? So Tom, double game week in 23, and let me just get this screen up for you again. Massive shout out to Finn for the graphics here. He will have a double game week in game week 23 at home to Aston Villa and away against Arsenal. So absolutely, one would argue that is a better fixture for Haaland. And there likely is going to be a Man City double later on in the season where they could have really favourable fixtures. The big question is this. If it falls in a really big double game week, is that not a week that we might bench boost? That's the question. So I want to play what's in front of me rather than trying to predict what I can't predict later on in the season. And because of that, I'm just going for triple captain Haaland. And we need to remember, the triple captain chip is the least powerful of all the chips. Effectively, what is it? You might get lucky and get, 10 points from your captain, whereas everyone else get 20, you get 30. You get a 10-point claw up on everyone else. Really, the bench boost, the free hit, the wild card, these are the ones where you get the monster climbs up your ranks. 2 to start from this 3, Saka, Martinelli or Rodrigo. I would probably start Saka and Rodrigo. However, if you are worried about Saka's injury, then start Martinelli and Rodrigo. I just don't think you can not play Rodrigo right now. A lot of people saying about Ake or Akanji, and this is a really interesting debate. Again, I want to get this screen up for you guys just to check out. Basically, the stats that you are seeing here for Ake are basically Akanji's. The only thing that Ake is kind of a bit more dominant than Akanji is bonus points per 90. Otherwise, they are very, very similar players. Ake doesn't really get into any goal scoring opportunities, very similar to Akanji. The one thing I would say is this, Akanji's minutes have been very, very, very good this season. And with the injury to John Stones, I think that only enhances Akanji. So look, I think it's a coin flip between the two. I think both are fantastic picks. I don't think you can go wrong with the two. If I had to pick one, I probably would just go for Akanji. How about Salah's KDB? Yes, I've done that move and I've done it for a -4 if that helps you out. Do I take Mitrovic out to get Kane in or do I try to get both in? It depends who you're selling if you're keeping Mitrovic, Jason. You have to let me know about that one. Thanks for asking all the questions showing insightful graphics. No worries, buddy, at all. Tom, would you recommend? I've covered that one. Dylan, sell Odegaard for KDB, 4-point hit. No, I wouldn't be doing that. I think Odegaard long-term is a fantastic option in your team. Alex, can you take starting Bueno over Digne? Bueno is a bit of a risk because of the game time of 8 Nori, but I think Bueno is a solid pick if you have no other options on your team. Trippier, Shaw, Saliba, Gabriel or Shah, which 4 do I play? You have to start Trippier and you have to start Luke Shaw. Now, I think the clean sheet potential was higher with Newcastle, so naturally Shah is in there. And then of the two, I would go Gabriel, so I would bench Saliba of that bunch. Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Darwin, Tony for a -8. Wan-Bissaka is asking for trouble later on in the season once Dalot returns. I think Wan-Bissaka is going to start, so I don't think you need to do Wan-Bissaka to Shaw for this double. I would avoid that move. So Darwin to Tony just for a -4 is probably the right move for you. Salah to Matoma / McAllister. No, I would absolutely keep Mo Salah, 100%. Can't afford Mahrez. Well, I could keep Mitro instead of bringing in Kane. I don't get that question, Marcus. You might have to reiterate that a bit later down the line. Who should I bench, Odegaard or Mitro? I probably would bench Mitrovic, to be honest with you. I think Odegaard is just in fantastic form right now. Salah to KDB and Darwin to Tony for a -4. Yep, I can't knock that. I think that's fantastic moves for your team. You have to remember, Salah can score any place, anytime, anywhere. That was awful. But KDB, double game week. We cannot look past that double game week. Then they have Wolves at home in 21 and then a double in 23. Yes, there's a lot of rumours circulating that Liverpool could have a double game week in 22 or 21. Look, we'll address that when it comes to it. I think selling him for KDB is just the right move for your team. Again, guys, we have just under 15 minutes until the deadline, so make sure your teams are getting locked in. Kepa or Pope? I will start Pope as the 2. Chelsea are awful. Why should I sell Shaw for Cancelo? Why should I sell Shaw for Cancelo? I wouldn't be selling Shaw for Cancelo, no chance. Favourite type of cheese curry or nachos? I'm just a cheddar cheese, an extra mature cheddar, I think. Very boring. Which Spurs defender is best? I think Perisic should be going to afford it, but I think Doherty is the value pick. Paul, hi, should I change Darwin, Tony, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw? Thanks. So would I do Darwin to Tony, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw? No, I would just do Darwin to Tony right now. Do we triple captain Haaland? Again, I'll put the triple captaincy screen up on here. I am not worried about the fixtures necessarily. Haaland's underlying numbers against, you can see on the right column there, that is against the big six. Yes, I've put Chelsea in the big six, but again, we have such small sample size because Haaland's only been in the league for 6 months, 5 months. But that right column is based on games against Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea. Still posting fantastic underlying numbers. I think Haaland is just one of those freaks in nature that is going to get chances and fantastic underlying stats against any team out there. And because of that, I just think you just put the triple captaincy on him either in 20 or 23. The reason I'm doing it in 20 is because I know Kevin De Bruyne is fully fit and Haaland is fully fit. That's it, really. That's the only reason. Is Spurs good defensively? I'm going to say no, to be honest with you. And Man United away, that's either going to be a really, really scrappy game or a goal fest. I really can't predict those. We know for a fact when they play against Arsenal, that is one of the best defences in the league. So is that any better? And Unai Emery, is he going to make that team really tough to beat with that 4-4-2 block that he does do? So look, is that fixture any better? I don't know, personally. Bench one, Bueno, Cancelo or Mitrovic. Look, this is my mindset right now with Cancelo. You either sell him or you start him. You can't have Cancelo and bench him. He's too much of a cash cow in your team for you not to sell him this game week. So if you have him, you have to start Cancelo. If I was to bench one of those, I'd probably just bench Bueno and hope Mitrovic scores against Newcastle. Page Raya, Shaw, Perisic, Trippier, Ake, Martinelli, Rashford, Saka, Mahrez, Kane, Haaland. And you've benched Mitro, Saliba, De Silva. Any suggestions on better people, not just for this week? So I think your team's absolutely spot on. Brentford with Raya, I expect a clean sheet there. Back four, I think you've got great coverage in all the teams available. Of course, you haven't got Salah or KDB, which is a problem, but you have got Haaland and Kane up front. I will stick with that team. I don't think you need to make any surgery to that team. Sam Wakefield went for Odegaard over Almiron, wasn't sure. Hopefully that pays off for you, buddy. George, Almiron owner, wondering if Matoma is worth a purchase. Fixtures are equally good over the next 6. Yes, but something you consider the next game week. You cannot be selling Almiron at home against Fulham. I would be swapping Shaw to Cancelo and Salah to KDB and Mitro to Kane. No, do not be selling Shaw to Cancelo. Shaw is just an absolute lock in your team. You cannot be selling Cancelo at all. I was actually replying to the previous question I asked, but never mind. Marcus, apologies for that, buddy. Thank you for answering that question. I think I just got caught up in the chat there. Guy, Pope, Shaw, Gabriel, got one free transfer. Okay, so you've got the Newcastle coverage, that's fantastic, but you've got triple Newcastle defence. For this week is great. Later down the line, we might have to address that. Foden, Odegaard, KDB, Rashford, Andreas, Haaland. Got one free transfer. Any changes that you would make? I think if you've got Foden, you just stick with him and hope for the best. I think, who is your front? You need to let me know who your two attackers are outside of Haaland. Kepa or Pope, you've got to start Pope of the two. Kepa and Chelsea are just crap. Start Bueno or Digne. I probably would start Digne of the two. Would you recommend Cancelo to Shaw? Yes, I like Cancelo to Shaw, and I would probably do it for a point sit as well, which is absolutely mad to say. Kanji or Doherty? Now, you're talking to somebody who sold Cancelo to bring in Doherty. This is the way I'm viewing it right now. I personally, and again, this is a personal opinion, don't think that Man City are all at it right now defensively. So because of that reasoning, I didn't want to go for a centre-back who offers very little attacking or assist potential. So for that very reason, I decided to go for Doherty as, yes, the clean sheet potential isn't necessarily there, but the attacking potential could be there. Gives us another game week of information. And then if the defence don't look good, you can either go to Edison and just say that's going to be the obvious move in my defence and just go for that. Or we could go for, obviously, just going for a defender later down the line. I think if you're going for Akanji or Ake, flip a coin. I think both fantastic picks. I would probably just favour Akanji because of the minutes recently. But I just like Doherty because of my rank right now. I just feel like I needed that potential in the team. Yes, I have triple captain Haaland, and guys, I will just put my team up for those that have come into the stream later on. So I've taken a -8. I've decided to sell Cancelo for Doherty. I've decided to sell Salah for Kevin De Bruyne to capitalise on that double game week. And I have decided to bring in Harry Kane for Darwin Núñez because he is a current injury risk for his fixture away against Brighton. Triple captaincy is on Haaland. That is locked in. And this is how my team is set up. So I'm pretty content with the team. Am I expecting a green arrow? Probably not, because I have taken a -8. But I feel like the team is well set for the next 4 game weeks, which I think is quite important going forward. I didn't want to be completely isolated in just this game week alone. So I think the team's in a good situation for the coming game weeks. Triple captain active on Haaland, Mitrovic starting alongside Kane. Right, guys, we're just going to ask any last question. We've got 7 minutes until the deadline, guys. Cancelo to Bueno. I would be risky about Bueno because I think Aït-Nouri could have just as many minutes. Should I start Ben White or Perisic? Absolutely Perisic, because he has a double game week and he will play every minute of that double unless he gets injured. Ben, already took a -4. Should I do Cancelo, Salah to De Bruyne? Would have no Liverpool assets did. Ben, this is the situation right now of Liverpool. I think KDB is the better option over the next 4 game weeks. He doubles in 20 and he doubles in 23. The one caveat that you need to remember, if you were to sell Salah, there's a potential he might get a double in game week 22 or 21. For my personal mindset, the way I'm viewing it is this. If that happens, I can just go back to Mo Salah. For this game week in isolation, I think Kevin De Bruyne is the better pick. So yes, I do think it is worthwhile for a -4 if you view it as a 4 game week transfer. Ibrahim saying, is a triple captain worth it this game week? So the way I'm viewing it is this, buddy. Triple captain this week, I think, is a good option. I'm not saying anybody to not do it, and I'm not telling anybody to do it. I think game week 20 is a great option for Haaland. I think game week 23 is a fantastic option for Haaland as well. The reason why, and that's probably the best way for me to kind of explain my answer here, the reason why I'm going for Haaland triple captain this week is mainly because I know De Bruyne is fit, I know Haaland is fit, and that is the main reason. We don't know what's going to happen later down the line. Tony or Mitrovic? Absolutely Tony if you can afford it. Tony over the next 3 or 4 looks fantastic. Susan, Mount to what midfielder? Similar price and it's for a -4. I think Mahrez has got to be your punt there. Absolutely Mahrez. Alex, hi Nacho, start Bueno or Digne? This is really tricky because I don't actually know what Bueno's game time is going to be like, because I think Aït-Nouri is also a risk, but Aït-Nouri did go off injured, it is worth noting. So I don't know about the current injury status of Aït-Nouri. So what my current process is this. Wolves has a home game against West Ham, and obviously Digne has a home game against Leeds. Leeds scored plenty of goals. I did say earlier that I think if I was to be told that both are going to play 90 minutes, I'd rather go Bueno. But because I don't know about the game time of Bueno, I'd probably go Digne. So it's all about what your view is on the expected minutes of those 2 players. Start Martinelli or Mitrovic? Probably go Martinelli just. Who to bench out of Cucurella, Martinelli, Tony and Almiron? We have to start Almiron, you have to start Tony. I probably would bench Cucurella because I don't know about his game time. Is picking Mahrez over KDB a good option? If the money isn't available for KDB, I think Mahrez is a fantastic alternative. Start Ward over Kepa? You can do, definitely. I personally am going for Kepa though over Ward. I just think Chelsea are crap, but I don't expect a clean sheet from either team personally. So I'm going to go for Kepa myself. Thoughts on Martial to Tony for a hit? Yes, I like Martial to Tony for a hit. Yes, you are worried about the game time of Martial because if he plays both, then of course you're in a position there where you've kind of wasted a points hit. But Martial sounds like he's a risk for the first game. How much is he going to get in the second game? Crystal Palace is a fantastic away fixture. If you view it as a 3 game week move, I like it. For this game week in isolation, I don't know whether it'll pay you back. Edison, Trippier, Cucurella, Shaw, Almiron, Martinelli, Salah, KDB, Rashford, Martial, triple captive, 4-point hit, Cucurella to Perisic. I don't mind it. But again, you're bringing in Perisic. I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet. So you're basically bringing them in for a potential attack and return. Best non-Man City mid to get in for Mount, similar price. Based on our projected points, just to look at game week 20 in isolation, this is what I'm looking at here. Obviously, Rashford, if you haven't got him already. Then I think Zaha in isolation is not too bad for this week. Kulusevski is a bit of a punt as well. Brandon Williams to Rico Lewis or Digne to Shaw for a -8. Well, I don't think you'll be selling Digne with the fixture that they have this week. But Rico Lewis's game time I'm really worried about. So I think I'll just keep Digne starting personally. Should I triple captain Haaland? It's all about your decision making. I've kind of gone through it a little bit here, but I will leave this on screen for you on how Haaland's performed in games against the big six, I would deem it. And guys, we have 2 minutes until the deadline. So if you are asking your questions, make sure you have the other screen up and you get your teams locked in, because we have less than 2 minutes until that deadline. And of course, in times gone by, we have had many situations where the server has crashed. So make sure your teams are locked in, guys, and you're not missing the deadline. Just to confirm my team, we have got Kepa in goal, Trippier, let me get it up for you a minute, Trippier, Luke Shaw and Doherty, Kevin De Bruyne, Almiron, Rashford, Martinelli, Mitrovic, Kane and Haaland with the triple captain. Team is locked in. I'm just checking myself to make sure it is all locked in there. Martinelli for the bench for Bueno. I just couldn't bench Martinelli personally, but of course, if you are worried about that situation, then bench Martinelli, absolutely. I just think Arsenal are too good for Spurs. We're swinging with Martinelli, so thanks for the support on that decision. No worries at all. Still worth holding on to Salah. It's all about if you value Kevin De Bruyne or not, basically, for this week. I personally wanted Kevin De Bruyne in my team for the next 4 game weeks, and for that reason, I decided to sell Salah for a points hit. Guys, we have 30 seconds until the deadline. So realistically, guys, if you're asking questions on this chat, please make sure that you are off the chat and you are getting yourself onto the app to get any changes locked in. This is your last minute warning. 15 seconds until the deadline. So again, guys, if you're asking any questions, then unfortunately I think you probably have, yes, I have triple captain Haaland for those that are asking, and I'm going to keep that locked in as well. Triple captain on Haaland. And I'm going to refresh the site in 5 seconds, as I do think that we're going to be in a position where the deadline has passed and you won't be able to make any transfers to your team. So let me just refresh the site, and that is it, guys. That is absolutely done. Right, guys, I think that is game time. That is the deadline passed. That is game week 20 over with. Hopefully, the transfer that you guys have made are going to pay dividends in the future. I see Patrick has gone for triple captain Rashford. Let me know in the chat, who have you gone for captain? And if you've gone for triple captain, let me know who you have triple captain. To be really interested to know what direction you have gone in. So fire it in the chat, guys. Let me know exactly who your triple captain has been this week. Just leaves me to say, guys, thank you so much for tuning into these live streams. It's been a really, really popular one, which is great to see. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you are following the account, subscribe, and drop a like on the live stream as well, just to show your support. And the main thing as well, drop a notification bell on the channel so you get updated with any future videos. As of course, we are doing daily videos, and hopefully they have been providing some value to you guys later down the line. So look, that just leaves me to say have a fantastic game week, guys. Fingers crossed for a Haaland hat-trick in both games to reward the triple captainers out there. If you've gone for Rashford triple captain, I really do hope it has paid off for you this week, and I'll talk to you guys very, very soon, hopefully after a massive green arrow. Take care. Cheers.